Welcome, Marko, to Metallarium Pages. It's a great pleasure to talk with you about Beherit on all your career in this case, because your previous album was released 2 years ago, 2023, and now obviously your upcoming Latin tour in May. So, first of all, how are you doing today? How is the band during the last couple of years?
Yeah, great. Yeah, lots of happening in the Beherit at the moment. When a long time we had a few break playing shows. The previous one was 1992,
Mm-hmm.
1993, maybe something like that. So, and then 2024 we started to make gigs again, and this year we are coming to the Latin America, and yeah, really looking forward to that tour.
Mm. Okay, so we are facing on the Latin tour with 5 dates that include Colombia, Chile, Ecuador, Mexico, and Brazil. And obviously, when I saw a lot of promotional stuff or like the flyers or in social media, is that you are promoting or the producer and promoting the first album from the band, Drawing in the Moon. So will you come to just place just this album, or will you come to mix all albums from Beherit in this new Latin American tour?
We will play, of course, after this comeback. We will, of course, we play the old classic Beherit songs from those famous "Drawing Down the Moon" and "Thought of Black Blood." Maybe a couple of songs from the Ingram, but I have to say that every Beherit gig is unique. We try to make our live set to that it fits to the time and the atmosphere. Is it a smaller club or is it a bigger venue? We try to create something unique and something experience to the audience. We don't do that like a normal rock band show that there could be anything happening in a Beherit show.
Hmm. Okay, okay. So, on this topic of this upcoming Latin American tour or this Latin American tour, so what kind of expectations do you have for this new one? Which band is expected to see live, meet some friends? So, what kind of expectation do you have for this new one? Because you will come for like a more countries here than the previous one.
Mm. Yeah, this is my first time also the personal. I have never been in South America or any America. So
Mhm.
this is my very first time. And my bandmates have been there before, like a witchcraft, and and they are that the audience is very wild. And of course, I know that the Beherit has a lot of fans in the South America and in Colombia. So I'm really looking forward to to. The only reason I come because it's long flights, long distance. We had to take holiday from the work and so, but I really want because now we are playing live, so this will be a once in a lifetime experience because I want to play those fans, new ones, but all those who have been there in the early 90s and they have supported Beherit all these years. So I want to give them experience.
Hmm. Okay, okay. Now, so now talking about more all your discography involved on your career. So you played it. A lot of people are expecting here in Latin America to play just your first album, Driving Down the Moon. But it's a great one. I have the CD here because I'm a huge fan from the band from that era. But now you decide to change with more things, with more industrial, electronic, ambient, and a lot of things. Because you are a fan of, I read a lot of interviews for you. Do you have your own project? That is a different kind of music, not metal in this case. So in this case, how will you mix your old songs with the new songs when mostly your old since your second album from H4 you started to involve with a different kind of music, not metal in general.
Uh, so yeah, there is a lot of variety in Beherit discography. We have very brutal death metal, more mystic black metal, then kind of ambient, very dark ambient styles and the different. But that's I think that's I like that we have that kind of diversity in our discography, because nowadays I'm free to do whatever I want. And I think, and I have found a very good combination of those classic songs from the Drawing Down the Moon, but a little bit different live versions. Of course, we respect the original version, but in the live shows, we can make the extension and different dark layers there going, and lots of happening there in the music. And I think that's what we really looking at the moment, to keep the focus creating a new kind of atmosphere.
Okay. And onto this topic, so for you, you are talking about that you like the diverse of your music. That's completely normal, because when you use a lot of synthesizers, a lot of industrial sounds or electronic sounds, that's common that you mix the things with noise and more things related. So for you, what distinguishes the great music from the bad one for you? Can it be distilled into technique, or is it something else easily defined?
Yeah, we are very not technical, or we don't have any techniques. Everything is, I have stopped writing music like in the traditional way, that there is a riff and then comes the riff B, and then comes the fill and the chorus, and then we go again the riff. I want to fade that kind of thinking totally. So I'm just creating a timeless space, the atmosphere where you can just feel the cosmic horror which is coming from the somewhere to other galaxy, that it's just there.
Okay.
The
Okay.
spirit and style, it's more important to having catchy riffs and something like that's I try to fade out.
Okay, okay. Well, when I read a lot of interviews from you saying that you are far away sometimes to play black metal, now you have more a different kind of influence. That's completely normal, because since the beginning to now many things change. More than 30 years passed from your first album. So, and for this one, um, so now, do you still consider it that Beherit it is it is an extreme metal band, or is it more like the just far away from the metal colors or metal influence, and now you have like more extreme music that's following things? Because when, for example, in your album Electric Doom synthesizes, or the second album H4, or the Bardoxes, you mix something noise. That's completely normal, because you are using a lot of the stuff from the synthesizer, from the industrial. So do you think that the Beherit is it still an electron, is it an extreme music, or will be just a different kind of music?
I let the other people to make those categorizing. I'm more free when I don't have to think that to some box. I always try to think out of the box, that there is a lot of elements of different what I like. The elements I like, if I like some sound, I don't think that normally extreme the modern black metal bands, they would probably not want to use that kind of sound. But if I like that, and I feel that it fits there, then I will use. I had never think that I totally I was working in a record store in the 90s, and that was my time when I had to put the records and the bands to the different categorizes. But it was already in the 90s. Nowadays, there is hundreds of different categorizes and
Mm.
thousands and thousands of black metal bands, and I'm really lost, and I don't see any reason why I should put my band to any of those categories. I let the authors to do that job.
Okay. Okay. And so how was the early black metal is seen different from how people perceive it now? And what were some challenges you faced as one of the few early black metal bands in Finland, especially?
Mm. Of course, it was very different time. There was internet, but it was time before the World Wide Web. So it was tape trading. There was very few bands, even worldwide, when we were doing the tape trading, and it take many weeks that you get your C cassette back there for some obscure demo tape or some rehearsal records. So almost everybody in the scene worldwide know its authors. And soon, because there was the flyers, you got to know. Compare it to nowadays, where is streaming services and social media, and you get the instant 1 minute feedback. You put the song online, and then there is people liking and giving a comments, and it's so different. It's yeah, many things are different, but especially in getting new music and to find new artists, and it has changed totally. And which is pity in that way, because old times when you get the record from the post, and then you had that moment that it's there, it's physical there, and then you put that to the turntable, and to start to listen, and you concentrate the music, and you listen that you just listen music at, wow, this is great. Compare it to nowadays, there is some YouTube link or something, and you are cooking a dinner at the same time and listening some random new music. It's a pity that it has come to this. Of course, there is a good points that you are able to get those rare music you were not afford to back in the old days. But I think there is way too many bands nowadays. It's so crazy how many bands there is, metal bands nowadays.
That is right, right. We have more than 50 or 60 releases per weekend. It's not like the 90s because I'm coming from the 80s or 90s. I remember in 3 months you have 30 albums, but in 3 months or 4 months, now we have in 1 week more than 60 albums. That's end of the weekend is very crazy now. It's a very different world. So now you mentioned a lot of things you mentioned that there are a lot of things that you have a lot of, well, like, we have a lot now. The metal world has a lot of labels, a lot of how to distinguish a band now because there's a thousand of releases each weekend. So for this, what kind of vision do you have for the future between metal and obviously with the kind of music that you play with ambient electronic stuff now?
Um, what do you mean? Like,
So, how do you envision the future with the fusion between metal and ambient music in general?
I don't know. I do respect all kind of bands, as no matter what music style they do. If they do very generic black metal, it's up to them, as long it comes from the heart.
Mhm.
That's the most important thing. You can do whatever in your life when you do what your own heart says, and you enjoy that, and then you are doing something correct, no matter music style, no matter of that. The vision we have in a Beherit is to combine those elements, those metal elements, those atmospheric noise elements, put those together to create something from the heart. That's that's the only thing you should do in your life. Try to follow what your heart wants you to follow.
Hmm. Okay. As you are one of the creators of the sound from Beherit from your first album to now, to your last album, so can you describe some of your early influence of the band? Because for me, when I hear for this drowning moon, so I remember that you have influence for blasphemy, battery, sarcophagus. That's completely normal. It was the era from that time. But now, when since your second album, you decide to change your influence with with a different kind of thing with a like Abruptum did in the 90s, more stuff, more far away from the metal. So now, can you describe so your early influence, like I mentioned, blasphemy battery, sarcophagus. Now, with your second wave of influence for the electronic industrial stuff, because for me, you have a lot of influence for Japanoise from the 70s or 80s, or like the like I remember the name of the band, but it's a difficult one. In the center now, no beaten from Germany. That's a great band from noise from the noise era from the 80s. So do you have another kind of influence? So how can you describe both eras in Beherit influence?
Yeah, in the very beginning, as you said, it it started from very like these big names, Metallica, Slayer, and Creator, Possessed, and this, and then came the tape trading, and then I found the Cocumelo Records and Sarcophago, Vulcano, and uh, and then came the Blasphemy. First, we were like a really Brazilian death metal band, the copy, because we liked it. We really liked it that, and we still like. We still have a lot of respect to the sarcophago and the old old Brazilian metal extreme scene, of course. But then we found the Canadian Blasphemy, Blood Upon the Altar, first time. Wow, what is this? And then we started a little bit copycat to their faster style and this demonic forward style. But very soon we started to combine those and we were listening to Battery. And I think then becoming to drawing down to me, we already found our own style to make the music we like. And but I have to say that I have always listened to also the electronic music even before those bands like the Coil. It's very important, very important. And Skinny Puppy, Psychic TV, and what I have been lately listening much more because I used to work in a record store in the 90s, so I had the access to the lot of variety the music from the punk rock to the most obscure crazy stuff. So I have been a lot of listening lately. The Cold Meat Industry from the Sweden, the label, their discography. There is a lot of interesting stuff, and but yeah, I get the influences here and there, and sometimes I listen a lot of also the classical music, and yeah, there's a lot of different, but of course, when you are preparing to your own gigs, the mostly we listen our own rehearsal recordings and the live shows, and we try to when creating something, you listen mainly for your own music in that way when you are preparing to something like the coming tour.
Hmm. Okay, with this idea, as you can see, we are living in a world a lot of revivals. A lot of bands are re-recorded old songs, re-recorded old albums. You can see that with the Cavalera brothers recorded the first EP, recorded the first two albums from Sepultura. Now, a lot of bands are doing this one because trying to record the old albums with the new sound of the with this era. So, if someone proposal the option to record to re-record again the drowning down the moon completely, will you record it with the same sensations with this raw or barbaric stuff that you did in the beginning, or will you mix all your new influence with the obviously with the previous era from Beherit?
No, I don't like about that idea. I even don't like about the remastering the old records. I always try to find that the very original, even it's not the production is not good, but I hardly never like the remastered version better. I don't like the modern way of production. It's too polished. It's too. I like more when it's a little bit crusty and like the old way to make it like the tapes and I don't I wa- I have even stopped using any computers when making a music. I have both a lot of analog stuff and yeah, we do mostly like in a live and experiencing, not really like yeah. Mm,
Hmm.
that's how we archive, and I don't see we released it a few months ago. This Live in Praha, the live album, which was from the last year concert, and I think that's I wanted to give a people the idea that how the Beherit sounds nowadays, to just give some idea that what we are looking, because no, well, the, yeah, when we
Okay.
started 35 years ago, it was so like now I'm thinking that yeah, then we were teenage, we had the bullet belts and the corpse paint and the blood, and now but now we are over 50 years old, and I don't I don't see that it it would make a sense to copy that era which we have already had long time ago. It would make me feel false to try to act like a angry teenage. So I want to, as I said, I want to create what we are nowadays
Hmm.
in this time of era.
Okay, okay, I understand. So one thing that I denoted since the beginning, because as I said, I was in the 90s, all the time when I hear for this first demo from Thorns, another or Abruptum, all the time these bands are trying to mix the industrial stuff, the electronic stuff. I don't know why. Always the black metal lean down to that era, to that area, and I don't know why. That's why when you release your second albums, automatically you decide to change the sound of Beherit. You place a different kind of album, and that's why when the I think the industrial black metal borns in the 90s, beyond of the black metal, but at the same time we'll still consider some bands as the black metal because they scream, they guttural, etc., for this, and also part of the essential sound of the industrial black metal now is always the noise. So, I saw that in your behind your wall, you have a lot of kanji elements from the Japan or for the Asian elements. That's a good thing. So, do you think that the Japan noise from the 70s it was a great influence for the industrial black metal in general since the 90s?
For sure, I think that it was one influence, and I was a big fan, for example, the Mersbow
Mm.
from the Japan, and I met the guy actually here in Helsinki in a modern art museum. He had a show there, and I came to interview him. We had the local newspaper, like, and I was doing the interview, and then the Mersbo he found that, you are from Beherit. And then it turned that it started to ask about me and Beherit, and turned out that he was also the big Beherit fan. So yeah, there is some weird, yeah. I think, yeah, the black metal, extreme metal, but yeah, I know a lot of guys even doing the metal music and having a band, they have these side projects which they make the noise and other process. And I think that's a good that you have a lot of different kinds. If you, yeah, as I said, if you enjoy those, please feel free to express your feelings and make art.
Hmm. Oh, okay. Okay. On other Another thing, I remember that I spoke with the main creator from Dolpheimsgard, and he told me, well, mostly we still consider the Dolpheimsgard. It is a black metal band. So people say that it's industrial black metal band. Other people say that it's avant-garde. I don't know. They try to mix everything in the labels. You know about the labels. The reviewers try to put the label for each song that they find in the record. So if this reviewer find 2 or 15 sounds, the reviewer will put 15 labels for this album. So for this one, according to them, the Dom Hypesguard is according to Bicort. If this album is continue say that it's a black metal, Dom Hypesguard, it is black metal. For you, with your new albums, did you still consider that the concept of the Beherit it is black metal, or is just like beyond black metal?
Yeah, I don't. It's up to other people to. Some of the Beherit are black metal. Some are more like death metal. Then there is a ambient, but I want to get out of this categorizing and I don't know, atmospheric black metal. It's not really what and so there is already so many subcategories that don't let's not invent any more. It's just
Yeah.
a Beherit. Let's call it's a Beherit.
Okay.
Sound
Okay.
of Beherit.
I understand, Marco. So, and we are close to this interview, Marco. And now for this one, uh, one of the last questions for this interview. So, your concept as you can see, I'm just reading a lot of review interviews, and also I just read a book that the name is The Devil's Cradle: The History of the Finnish Black Metal. When it was interview peoples like Impaled Nazarene, Barotrum, Archgoat, and Morthman, etc., etc., since the beginning to now. So now, so what your point of view about now these contributions of the in with books, because Finland has a lot of history into the metal, into death metal, into the black metal, into power metal, into doom metal, etc. Is for me when I was in Finland, it was I remember for me in Finland is the metal country around, and a lot of people things like that. It's a metal country. When I interview a lot of people, all the people say that the best metal country in Europe is Finland. There's no another country with metal. But since your perception it was there since the beginning to now, what's your opinion about the scene now, about these kind of books that are releasing about the history of the extreme metal there? What's your kind of opinion about all this kind of stuff that releasing in the last coming day in the last years?
Yeah, I have heard also this metal country, metal capital. Um, yeah, I have gave a few interviews to some of those books because okay, I was asked, but I saw that it's important to record the history now because in the internet the stories will get the colorized. There will be some additions, and in many interviews people come to ask me some weird things that this, like, did it really happen like that you went there with your bandmates and then to some party and then I cannot remember because it's 30 years, it's 35 years ago. I really cannot. So this Devil's Cradle, the Ika Heimonen, the interview with me made. So I felt that now it's time to, when you still remember something, but of course it gets colorized in the own memories, because after years you found some internet forum and then they are speculating something what I have done, and then I have been thinking, am I really done so, or have I really said so? So there is a coming a new, the also the new history of Finnish metal later this year. And then there is coming also the TV series documentary. I think it's coming, the interview.
Well, Marco, we arrived to the sad moment of this interview. I hope you enjoyed this one like me. We're expecting your first Latin American tour here by in May. So perhaps we want to add something to your Latin American fans and obviously Methalarium followers.
Yeah, I can, but it's something in some error mode. But okay, my message to Colombia and the rest of the Latin America tours, that see you there in May, and let's make it a unique, very special Beherit experience happen.